Observing the left wing after Trump was nearly assassinated was quite something, because many on the left felt a feeling they had never felt before, especially the younger generation, and some of the older generation that's also been brainwashed by the radical progressive left. They felt an emotion they hadn't felt in years either. That emotion, after Trump stood up and said, fight, 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 a man they dislike, and I think there are legitimate reasons to politically dislike Trump, right? I don't love Trump, but when he stood up and he said, fight, 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 and that picture was taken with the American flag in the background, a lot of people on the left, not all of them, but a lot of people on the left felt a feeling they hadn't felt in forever or ever. And that feeling was patriotism. They felt a sort of pride, a healthy pride in the country. They felt a certain toughness. They felt a love for the office, let's say not Trump, but the office of the presidency and what it stands for. It suddenly hit them. Like this thing we have here is fragile. But it was just so, that picture was so patriotic. It was so American. That picture is so American. I don't think you could take that picture in any other country. It would have the same effect, right? That the picture represents America very, very robustly. So if you're on the left and you felt that little feeling of patriotism, that love for the country, if you felt that, allow it to come out. Encourage it. It's a healthy emotion. It's not fascist, okay? It's healthy to love the country. You're in the ideals of the country, which America has the best ideals, the most noble ideals. Universal principles, that's what we're founded on. We don't always live up to them, obviously. But what we're founded on is beautiful, and to feel love for the country is absolutely something you should do. Feel that love. It's healthy. It's like a vitamin. You need the vitamin of patriotism. You do all the things in your personal life, right? And then you do things in your community. And then you do things maybe in your town or for your state in some way. But to do something for your country, you don't have to do much, but love it. It doesn't mean your country's perfect. America's committed many felonies. So is every other nation. But you know what's great about America? America self-corrects. That's why I love America. It self-corrects back, it's always trying to align with its founding ideals. The ideals were never implemented perfectly at the beginning, but we're always moving closer to that. In some weird way, the progressive left is somehow trying to get towards those ideals too, but they go so extreme they become a retrograde force. They're also terrible friends to the country. Progressives are very dangerous people because the more they hate America, the more they tell other people how awful America is. Anytime you mention America, all they do is bash America. They denigrate America. They are that which produces something like a malignant nationalism. If all you do is bash the United States and all you do is bring up the USA's felonies, you will create a sort of reaction. And that's why the right is called reactionary. If you bash the country incessantly, you will produce a malignant nationalism. You see, lowercase nationalism, that's more like patriotism. That's very healthy. To love your country, to consider your country first before other nations. I don't think you should disregard other nations, but it's totally moral to, the way the world's designed, to care about your nation above other nations. It doesn't mean you can't have a global impulse, you can't be cosmopolitan, but lowercase nationalism can be very healthy. It really is patriotism. It's a love for your country. And patriotism comes from the heart. Malignant nationalism comes from the head. It's like enforced love of the country. And that's what you'll start to see if you keep pushing, especially if you push through the education system, more and more anti-Americanism. There's going to be a reaction to that. There already has with the 1776 Commission. You're going to see this more and more. And if you're on the progressive left and you're worried about fascism, here's an irony. Patriotism, if you on the left show a patriotic spirit, the likelihood of fascism decreases. The likelihood of malignant nationalism decreases if you on the left show love for the country and feel love for the country. Democrats in the 80s and 90s were mostly this way. They loved the country, they just wanted expanded welfare. They loved the country and they valued colorblindness. And they loved the country and they could see, they could admit the progress the U.S. had made and continues to make. Now, the progressives, again, cannot see progress. It's one of the great mysteries of the world. They are incapable of seeing progress, despite their name, despite their aims. They don't see the progress the U.S. has made, and they want to drag us back to things like neo-segregation. They want to drag us back to a world where race consciousness is kind of first and foremost. This is dragging America away from its ideals. It is anti-American. It's not patriotic. It creates a reaction on the far right. And eventually that could seep into just regular mainstream conservatives. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But the last point I'll make is, if you continually bash the United States, you're like a terrible friend. Have you ever had a friend where you've really made a change, right? You did something stupid when you were young, and you've completely matured, evolved past that. But every time you see this friend, they bring up that thing you did in high school when you were a moron. They don't drop it. That's a bad friend, right? It's a bad friend. A good friend will know that you had a bad past and will compliment you on overcoming that, of transcending that, right? And that's what America is. America is a country that has some felonies in its past and has done its very best to rectify that. And you can love the country without forgetting the past, without burying it. You still teach it. It's still part of our story. But the bigger story is what America's done to transcend that, okay? To become something that other nations rightfully look up to. It's American exceptionalism. The exceptionalism is self-correction. Now, if you're on the left, you're even going to make this worse, because not only do you bash America constantly, but now you're throwing race into it, and you bash white people and whiteness constantly. I'm not the type to defend whiteness. I think it's all so stupid and backward and primitive. I have nothing but contempt for those who are pushing anything like white pride or something like that. They disgust me. The same way any group that does that does. Anyone who puts, is like race obsessed or race consciousness dominates their psyche, I have no time for them. But you see, if you keep not only bashing the U.S., but also white people of European descent, whatever, then you're going to start creating something like ethno-nationalism. You can see guys like Nick Fuentes, they're a reaction to you. Now, they always exist. Those types always exist. They existed when the radical left was much smaller. But you see, if you watch a lot of their content, if you study them, if you investigate this evil, you'll find that very often what really spurs them on are progressives. That's what gets them going. It's what they base their shows around. It's progressive hate of white people, and it's progressive hate of America. Well, the counterbalance to that is going to be something like ethno-nationalism. So it's scary to watch what's happened to the left, and I hope it stops. Now, trust me, I am very worried about some elements on the right. You see, Nick Fuentes has a rather large following, and I will do my best to kill those monsters while they're small. If you follow this channel, kill the monsters while they're small is something you're going to hear quite frequently. I don't mean physically kill. I don't mean actual violence. I mean with argumentation, with calling them out. Kill the monsters while they're small. I just mean that in a non-violent way. But the Democrats, the traditional left-wingers and liberals, they did not stomp out this progressive, radical movement soon enough, and are just ignored it or were hijacked by it. Either way, they didn't get rid of their extremists fast enough. I don't want to do that on the right. My goal is to call out the right wing when it becomes too nationalistic. That's my goal. To call them out, to write articles about them, to make videos about them. Because I know what happens when the right becomes too crazy. You start to get more progressives, and we have this idiotic loop in which the progressives and the proto-fascists are like feeding off of each other, right? And then you get to the left becomes more Maoist, the right becomes more actual fascist, and so on and so forth. So that's what scares me. But if you're on the left, the antidote to all of this, right, is patriotism. It's that feeling you felt watching Trump, stand up, the American flag. That's patriotism. That's healthy. You can still fight for change in America, but just always, always talk about how much you love the country and the great good it's done and the great progress it's made. My name's Dylan. Please like, share, and follow. Peace.